We continue with part 7, where we focus on medication entry, adverse events, and hospitalization tables. Here's the overview list of your patients. As soon as you click on a patient field, it expands and shows more options for data entry. You already know how the basic data, visit data, and termination table work. Now we will focus on the medication tables. Please click on Medications. On this new page, you can see on the top the medication history. Here you can create a history of all medications given to a patient over time. Each medication that has been stopped appears in red, while all ongoing medications appear in green. If you want to remove a medication from this list because you have entered it incorrectly, please click on the red X.
If you want to add a new medication, please click on the Add Medication button. When you click here, you can choose one of the medications that is available for this specific diagnosis. Please note that only relevant medications or supplements are included for each diagnosis. You do not need to report every medication a patient has ever received. We usually recommend that, for example, if a patient is receiving ACE inhibitors or immune suppression, you also enter the retrospective starting date of the current treatment. In the upper example, you can see that we only ask for the start and stop date. If there is no stop date because the medication is still ongoing, please leave this field empty. And as soon as you have entered the dates, you can save the entry and the medication will appear in the medication history. In the lower picture, you see another possibility to enter medication information, including single dose, frequency, route of administration, and patient weight. This allows us to collect more detailed information about the medication dosage. With this option, for example, you can report a pulse treatment of high-dose IV corticosteroids. Here you will enter the single dose per injections, like here 400 milligrams, and then select the frequency of 3 injections per 1 week, and then you select as route IV and the patient weight. Please save after enter the medication. Now I would like to show you how to report a dose reduction scheme for medication such as immunosuppressants, and here in this example MMF. Once you have entered the complete medication information, including the dose, frequency and route, click on enter and it appears in the medication history. If you now want to change the dose, click on new dose. The medication field opens and is pre-populated with all of the data entered before. So now you can easily change the dose and save it, which reduces time and makes reduction schemes easier to report. One very important step is to validate the medication history. Whenever a medication table exists for a patient, please review it whenever you update the patient's information during a visit. For example, after entering a new visit, please check the medication table and make sure that the information is still complete and up to date. If everything is correct and no changes are needed, simply click Validate. If you need to add or modify a medication, make the necessary changes and validate the table afterwards. The validation confirms that you have actively reviewed the medication history. This is especially important when no medication is listed. A validated empty medication table means that you have checked the patient's medication history and confirmed that there is no relevant medication to report. It is therefore different from simply leaving the table unreviewed. So whenever you review the medication history, please remember to validate it. Thank you. In some sub-registries, adverse events also need to be reported. To open this, please click on Adverse Events. First, select the type of adverse events. The available options include categories such as cutaneous, gastrointestinal, hematological, hepatic, proteinuria, and others. After selecting an adverse event, you will be asked to provide additional information. Enter the event date and select the medication involved from the list of medications already recorded for the patient. Next, indicate how the event was managed. For example, specific whether the treatment was discontinued, temporarily stopped, or the dose was reduced. You should also record the outcome of the adverse event and any management changes. If the adverse event resulted in starting a new medication, you can navigate directly to the medication table to record it. Likewise, if the adverse event led to hospitalization, you can also directly go to the hospitalization table to enter those details. This workflow ensures that all relevant information related to the adverse event is documented in a clear and connected way. Similar to the medication list, the adverse event list should also be validated every time you are updating a patient. This is important because we need to distinguish between a patient who has had no adverse event from a patient whom adverse events simply haven't been reported. So whenever you are updating a patient, please make sure to either report all adverse events that have occurred since the last update or confirm that no adverse event have occurred. This helps us to keep the registry data complete and reliable. If a patient had to be hospitalized, please click on Hospitalizations to report this event. If a hospitalization has not yet been reported, click on Add Hospitalization. You will then be asked to select the reason for the hospitalization from a predefined list, for example, bleeding, heart failure, seizure, or other reasons. After selecting the reason, enter the start and end date of the hospitalization. As with the other tables, which I already mentioned, please review the hospitalization history every time you are updating a patient. Make sure that all hospitalizations are reported and that the information is complete. If the list is empty, please confirm that this is correct and that no hospitalization has occurred. This helps us to ensure that the hospitalization data are complete and reliable. Thank you for watching this video. The next part of the webinar series will focus on how to terminate a patient entry.